Nerdrotic.com.
Welcome back to Nerdrotic. My name is Gary Beekler, and I come to you from Nerdrotic.com. And with the slow news week we've had, I thought I'd just bring in a filler video with StarTrek Discovery and Rotten Tomatoes. Neither have been hot topics lately. So I thought I would do what I did with the Orville last week, check in about halfway through the season and see where the audience score is at on Rotten Tomatoes. And it is at 28%. Now, before we continue with that, there's a couple of things we need to address. Rotten Tomatoes has been under assault by the Access media, and it looks like Disney, in my opinion, strong-armed them or offered them some money to probably stop the most traffic they've had in months and shut down the audience indicator. Now, what does that mean for the site? Well, it's shutting down the fans. It's silencing the fans. It is censorship, absolutely. And is the audience score next? I don't know. We'll have to see when Captain Marvel comes out. But while it is still around, there's a couple of shows I need to get to. I know I promised Doctor Who first, but with the recent news of Star Trek Discovery, I put that up front. Now, let's talk about the renewal. A little bit more light has been shed on the renewal of Season 3. Now, I was hoping it would not get a Season 3, but hope is not a strategy. And I had a couple of insiders who were telling me the show was definitely on the bubble. One was leaning more towards the show getting canceled. The other one really wasn't sure. He just said that it was on the table. And I can believe that. I mean, I don't know. Again, like I've said in all of my videos, this is purely speculation on my part. I am just a guy with a microphone. So it turns out one of the most expensive shows on TV, $150 million budget by some reports. That would put it right up there with Game of Thrones. Was renewed for a Season 3, and it didn't trend at all on Twitter. The 3 hours I was checking, I checked throughout my live stream yesterday, didn't trend at all. The show doesn't trend on Thursday night. The reason I bring this up, and I will go to Bounding into Comics because we want to give good websites the clicks, on the renewal of Star Trek Discovery Season 3, there was a paragraph I would like to read again. Julie McNamara, Executive Vice President of Original Content at CBS All Access, added the massive success of Star Trek Discovery's second season launch exceeded our expectations in both driving subscriber growth and generating a phenomenal response from Star Trek fans. With Alex Kurtzman and Michelle Paradise at the helm, we look forward to continuing Star Trek Discovery's journey, growing the Star Trek franchise on CBS All Access, and bringing fans new Star Trek stories for years to come. I'm guessing the reason the show was renewed was not because it was a success. Let's just think about it. Let's just think about it in terms of how many subscribers the CBS All Access actually has. There's been two different reports. There's 4 million and 8 million. Let's just say 8 million is true, and it's not because people signed up for the 1 week free offer or the Super Bowl or Big Brother. It was because of Star Trek Discovery, and everybody's paying for the commercial free option, which is more expensive than the commercial option. Yes, you sign up for a streaming service and you get to watch commercials for $5.99, but for $9.99, they remove the commercials. So it brings in $80 million a month. I am just guessing that doesn't even cover operating costs. I'm not sure if that covers the janitorial fees. Considering Les Moonves made, according to Salary.com, $68.4 million in 2017. Now, I don't think the CBS All Access CEO makes that much, but I'm guessing they make a lot. So it looks like CBS worked their magic, found an investor, or they found some money in Les Moonves' couch in his old office, and they got a Star Trek Discovery Season 3, buying themselves a little time and saving themselves from the black eye they would have received if they had canceled this show in the middle of the streaming wars. But in my opinion, the black eye remains because, without a doubt, without question, this is the most hated Star Trek series in its history. Now, unfortunately, the only place we can still go, there's only a couple places we can go to see what fans think that's somewhat accurate. And no, our Rotten Tomatoes is not perfect. Yes, there are bots. Yes, there are fake reviews from both fans and critics alike, but I still trust the audience score more than I trust the critic score. Let's see what they say. Let's see if they are actually against Star Trek Discovery for diversity, or if they just don't like the show for its quality, general quality, thinking it's fake Trek, normie Trek, poser Trek. Let's see. No name here, 2 stars. I give it 2 stars for the effort. I sit through the drama being most of the show. For the few minutes an episode, actual interesting stuff happens regarding the episode's issue and the overarching story, which is saddeningly almost immediately resolved through no intelligence or reasoning or effort, but only by more nonsense, babble, ex machina than any other Trek show. I've seen them all at least twice, and at least when it happens in earlier shows, the characters spend time chewing the issue for a resolve, depicting actual emergencies with plausible solutions, constant universal rules, and then them working professionally to bring them to reality. Almost every other minute here is spent on the drama between characters and not the mission or even their professional relationships. It's more of a friend crew than a Federation crew. Something I could sit through to get an actual story. I wouldn't be able to tolerate all the drama in other non-sci-fi shows. Feels like Star Trek High School, Gossip Girl, or something. Redeemed just enough to be watchable. It's mostly boring because of all this, and that sucks. The overarching story is okay, just endure past the majority filler stuff. Brandon C. Bad acting, bad writing, soundtrack and special effects that look nothing like Trek. I actually like the soundtrack. That's one of the good things. Jeff Russo is actually very good at music. The show creators should feel ashamed to slap the name Star Trek on this garbage. Guy D. So far, the second season is not improved on the first season with all the political correctness and social justice themes. The show doesn't build on any other characters and is focused on Michael Burnham, Sylvia Tilly, and Saru. I want to know more about the other bridge characters and especially the robot-like character and backstories for all of them. A sad attempt severely lacking any resemblance to the real Star Trek TV shows. This isn't Star Trek. They should have called it something different instead of trying to ride the coattails of the legendary IP. Ryan Z. I'm going to read a positive review here. Mike M, 5 stars. Season 2 is off to a blazing start. Discovery is taking on more traditional Star Trek journey and looking into the individual lives of crew members through away missions and side stories adjoining the major overall story arc. The visuals are a godsend and more akin to what technology should be in the 24th century compared to the cardboard garbage the original series passed off as high tech. The acting by the main cast is ramping up as the drama hits high notes quite frequently, while acting leaves you on the edge of your seat asking for more. And this is precisely the fan Star Trek Discovery was made for, the kind of person who would call the original series garbage. Rob H, half star. It is a boring show. Characters are not interesting. Jerry T, half star. Bland character development. Watch Star Trek all my life. This is just not Star Trek. Gene Roddenberry will be turning in his grave. Watch The Orville, the new Star Trek. David P, I totally agree. Husker S, the show is too busy being an SJW's wet dream. If the writers would get out of their own way, it might be a good show, but until then, it can stay as plagiarized trash. Again, I am looking for the spiciest reviews, the ones that people call out as trolls. Really nasty, hateful stuff. Jesse Smollett would love it. Abbas S. James C. Half star. Plagiarized from the video game's tardigrade. CBS lawsuit. Grade school amount of lens flare after lens flare. Bad writing. Bad acting. The Orville rocks. You want fun? Interesting sci-fi stories? Interesting bridge crew you care about and remember their names? This is the only Star Trek where I don't remember anyone's names besides Captain Pike and the unbelievable Burnham. A murderer and a traitor telling Captain Pike what and when to do his job. Look at the CBS lawsuit about the tardigrades. I will link that in the description, by the way. Not real Trek. Some alternative badly written universe with bad acting and feminist SJW propaganda. Half star. Blind tadpole. Marcel A. I don't know how, but they managed to make season 2 even worse than the first. That was no more toxic than some of the tweets I've seen from the cast. And aside from that, I mean, the evidence was all there that they're going to stick with this thing till the bitter end. I mean, they fired Brian Fuller. Then they brought in Gretchen J. Berg and Aaron Harberts, and they were fired for abusing staff. Alex Kurtzman was made the Kevin Feige of Star Trek just a few months back, given ultimate authority. And Kurtzman did such a bang-up job that they had to bring in John Van Sitters as the VP of brand development, and who would come in and have some creative control over the show. And then that did so well that they brought in Michelle Paradise to be a co-showrunner on season 3. So this thing is a hot mess. And maybe it gets better under Michelle Paradise. Like, I don't know. I wasn't really a Heart of Dixie fan. Mrs. Nerdrotic watched the originals. That's kind of genre. But again, there's no science fiction experience. And I don't understand why CBS doesn't want to bring somebody in with Star Trek experience. And let's not forget the tardigrades lawsuit from Anas Abdeen. Yes, if you are not aware, which if you've been on this channel for a while, you should be aware. But if you're not, I'll remind you again. Anas Abdeen is the creator of the game called Tardigrades. It has a lot of similarities with Star Trek Discovery Season 1. Link will be in the description for that video as well. There's a giant blue tardigrade that travels through time and space in the video game, and there's a giant blue tardigrade that helps you travel through time and space in Star Trek Discovery Season 1. New information on that I kind of put together myself watching the Midnight's Edge live stream with Robert Meyer Burnett. He said that the tardigrade was originally supposed to be a character, kind of like a Chewbacca to Stamets Han Solo, and instead they decided to make it a big monster. So it wasn't Brian Fuller who ripped off, allegedly, in my opinion, the tardigrades from Anas Abdeen's tardigrade. It was whoever took over. And I can really believe that if a show, say, was under the gun, that it had to come out quickly to help support a streaming service, that the writers might had a little trouble coming up with something, and maybe they Googled a little bit, and maybe they borrowed a little bit. I don't know. In my opinion, it makes a lot of sense. But besides that, that's just outside the show. Within the show, it's worse. Believe it or not, it's worse. Now, we've gone over these in my reviews, but just some quick examples. Sonar in space. A shooting star in deep space. They can't keep track of their own continuity, much less canon or timelines or anything else. Remember, Gabriel Lorca had trouble with his eyesight because if you're from the mirror universe and you're a Terran, you had light sensitivity, although Philippa Georgiou in Section 31 doesn't seem to have that problem. The Discovery computer being big enough to download hundreds of thousands of years of visual information from a giant living planet, using said information to speed up the evolution of a species on a makeshift communicator. Logic like that. No, I didn't go through all 57 pages, but I went through as much as I could. I tried to find some really offensive stuff, and you heard the most offensive stuff that I found in about the 25 pages I looked. The most common theme you heard from everybody there, all those fake trolls from Russia and the bots, they all wanted their old Trek back. They said this show doesn't feel like Trek, and I think I've explained to you why. There's been so much turnover, and the writers that do exist in this show, in the writer's room, that have pretty much stayed from Season 1. That's the one thing that hasn't changed. It still essentially has the same writing room. Well, I think Robert Meyer Burnett put it best in the Midnight's Edge live stream yesterday when he said that this feels like Star Trek written by his mom. I gotta admit, I was getting a little worn down by Star Trek Discovery, but the recent announcement of Season 3 has fired me up a little, so I'm looking forward to doing my next breakdown review. No, I am not gonna stop, because it's fun, it's a laugh. This is the most hilarious version of Star Trek ever put out. If you like what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like what you heard, hey, thanks for listening, especially you guys at CBS. Go to nerdrotic.com to check out my live stream schedule, watch the Orville, have a great day, and may the small folks sing songs of your greatness.
nerdrotic.com. Please subscribe.